Grubby, do you know everything laners need to know about jungle? No, not yet. Let's watch it. That's a great question. I wish there was a video that could show me everything that laners need to know about junglers. Let me check it. Oh, hold on a second. Wait, what's this? Everything laners need to know about jungle. Ooh, let's check it out.
Take a look at this replay and see if you can figure out what's wrong with this ward and why it makes absolutely no sense to have been placed at all.
What? Tyler1 told me to put a ward here. Are you fucking kidding me?
Welcome to High Elo EU West, in a game played at 1000 LP Challenger. Our Aurelia player has just done a 2-wave crash before she decides that she needs some deep vision.
Oh, wait, this is different. He told me to put it at minute 120, so it's different. There are nuances I don't understand. All right, so let's see what he's doing here and why it makes no sense. All right.
So she goes into the enemy's top jungle to place a ward that can see the enemy's Gromp and blue buff. So what's so bad about this ward? Well, the answer, it's literally impossible for the enemy jungler to have ever been there at any point over the entire lifespan of that ward, which you could easily know by using timers that you'd think laners at 1000 LP Challenger should definitely know by now.
You would think so, yeah.
This ward that our teammate Orianna places on the enemy Raptor camp at 225 should give us all of the information that we need. Junglers finish their first 3 camps and cross mid at 2:30 on the game clock. So if the Raptors are still there, we know the enemy jungler started topside, and he should show on the Raptor camp any second.
Maybe he pressed the ward before he confirmed whether there are any jungle monsters still left. And once he saw that they weren't there, he should not place the ward anymore. That's probably the thing.
Second now. There he is. Not only that, but Aurelia's deep ward will literally expire before the top camps it's supposed to see will even respawn. A jungler's respawning camps come up at 4 minutes 20, and the ward she places expires at 4:08. That means over the entire lifespan of that ward being placed, it never once gains vision of an actually alive jungle camp, and so never gains vision of an enemy jungler. But just 20 seconds after the ward expires, Xin Zhao arrives to take his newly respawned Gromp, happy to know that he's not on vision. And this just highlights the massive gap in knowledge between the roles, where even the most highly skilled laners at the absolute top of Challenger still don't understand the basics of how the jungle role works.
So, we are all better than challengers after watching this video, in at least one way.
Now don't
Oh, he sees the dead ward? Oh.
worry, when I asked you to figure out what was wrong with the ward Aurelia place, you weren't supposed to know the answer to that question. That's only because you haven't watched the video yet, of course.
Right.
But by the end of it, you will.
Ooh.
That's because we'll go through everything that a laner needs to know about the jungle role, and how it affects you. We'll be covering gank timers, jungle tracking, jungle champion archetypes, drafting, and everything else that I happened to think up after recording the intro that probably should have been in the script in the first place. Now real quick, I wanted to let you know that just 2 weeks after this video goes live, I'll be running my own class that'll teach you all things early game. You'll learn everything there is to know about the first 14 minutes of the game, in a class that I've designed to be accessible to all 5 roles and to all levels of play. The class runs for about an hour and a half, in which time I'll do my best to make it absolutely worth it for you guys to come, which shouldn't be too hard to do because with a class structure like this, it makes it even cheaper.
That's
so
not
it's
bad.
just $10 a ticket to reserve a spot, and to do so, just follow the link in the video description below, and hopefully, I'll see you there.
My name's Rogue and I played League of Legends professionally for 7 years. Now I'm a full-time content creator and coach for all ranks iron through to Challenger. So if you want more information of what a coaching session with me will look like, you can find more information by following the link in the video description below.
Let's kick the video off by answering the question that you probably want answered more than anything else. When can a jungler gank me?
Yeah.
Well, of course, the answer to that question is somewhat complicated.
Anytime.
But to summarize in one...
If they're bad enough, anytime. I've been ganked at level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 18. It could be at any time if they're bad enough. We're assuming a logic here, so this only applies to high level, silver 4 and above.
One quick sentence, whenever they want. But the consequences of attempting a gank aren't always the same for a jungler, and that's what really matters to them. I'm going to elaborate on this more in just a moment, but for now let's just keep things simple and answer the question at hand as to where and when you can realistically get ganks. Starting from a minute 30 to 2 minutes 30, a jungler is almost certainly doing their first 3 camps. Ganks are extremely unlikely to happen.
Wait, how do you get a sick map like this? This is amazing. This has really good overview.
You lost your flash in an invade level 1 or something. Just after 2 minutes
Zoom out
30,
and replay.
the first realistic gank timer of the game appears. A jungler's taken 3 camps and hits level 3. They will now either gank one of the adjacent lanes to the side that they started on, or they will otherwise cross mid to go to the other side of the map and continue farming. So if you feel that you're gankable early, or anytime you're playing mid lane for that matter and can be hit by a drive-by gank on the way through, you should most likely be placing a ward after you've cleared the second wave of the game so that you can stay safe and get the information of which of these two options the enemy jungler has gone for. Then from 2 minutes 40 onwards, mid ganks will...
By the way, to play devil's advocate, because I always like to say, well, what if they don't? Because you're describing a framework that is optimal. What if they don't? How do you react then? What if Vi clears the bottom jungle, and then instead of taking the top jungle, and instead of ganking mid or bottom, just paths here, goes through the camps, and then walks top and ganks? She will arrive at a weird time of 251. Maybe exactly when you're placing a ward. This is very inefficient for Vi. She's bad. She's losing efficiency, but you're dead. It could happen. Now, that's kind of like either only high level or low level will do this. High level to subvert expectations, and low level because they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Start to come from the opposite direction of the map. And shortly after that, the side lane opposite to where the jungler started, in this case the top laner, will now be gankable at almost any moment going forward for the next minute or two. As this side laner, you should most likely have time to crash the third wave of the game before warding, since the jungler is going to have to cross a lot of ground in order to get to you.
You crash the third wave before warding. Yeah. Usually I'm placing it, usually when that happens, I'm placing it at like 250, I think.
At 3 minutes 30, if a jungler still hasn't gone for a gank yet, then a gank at this point is literally guaranteed to happen in the next 30 seconds.
What?
I'll cover this period more in just a moment. Literally, 3 minutes 30, if a jungler still hasn't gone for a gank yet, then a gank at this point is literally guaranteed to happen in the next 30 seconds.
Again, except if they go AFK, and this is probably because there are no camps left on the map. Not literally, right? There's probably no camps left on the map.
I'll cover this period more.
But they could also recall and buy, and then there's still no camps, I guess.
In just a moment, but just know that dying to a gank at this timer is by far the worst gank you could possibly be dying to. Then between 4 minutes and 4 minutes 20, the jungler's first camp that they took at the start of the game will be respawning on the side of the map they started their clear on.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So by this point, they should probably be heading back to the side of the map that they first begin their clear on at the start of the game. From that point on, you can essentially count up by intervals of 20 seconds, and that tells you the respawn timer roughly of all of their minor camps going forward across the map, and using that, you can track where they're going to be. Now, I don't want to sound like I've got my head in the sand here. I know that in solo queue, especially lower elos, junglers just do weird things you can't predict.
Yep.
So what I just taught you might feel like it just doesn't apply to your games, but I promise you it does. These are the timers for when ganks are optimal, and that's what you need to understand about jungling and their ganks. Not all ganks are created equal, and that's mainly because of XP. The XP reward of killing an enemy champion scales with the level of the champion you killed. So for example, when 3 camp ganking bot lane to kill the level 2 enemy support, you are rewarded with 76 kill XP. Meanwhile, just killing Gromp gives you over double that amount, and in the time that it takes to do a gank, you can probably do 2 to 3 camps at a minimum. This leads me nicely into talking about something that I call a jungler's script. A jungler's script is essentially a line that points them in the direction of their farm and shows them how to do ganks in a way that is still optimal that carries less risk, and it's decided by their first clear. So let's say a jungler starts bot and paths up to top, and then resets. Then they come out of base, so they're respawning camp on bot and they path to top, and then they reset. Bot to top, reset. Now if they want to do ganks that are optimal to their XP and less risky, they just simply do ganks that align. So they do their bot camps, a drive by mid, a top gank at the end, reset, bot gank at the start, mid gank all the way through, top gank at the end. You get the point. Now important to note is that the more someone deviates from their script by traveling in the opposite direction is the more risky the gank will be to them and the more that they'll stand to lose by not farming. And to demonstrate what happens when 2 junglers do different things, one respecting their script and one going against it, I have this replay. So our blue team jungler starts bot, pathing up with a script that looks like this, and our red team jungler does the inverse and goes down with a script that looks like this. Now they're both doing the same thing here, they're both taking the first 3 camps of the game, but after 3 camps they deviate. Our Gwen player on red team is following her script, but our Echo player is deviating the opposite direction of his, in order to flip the game for a bot gank. Now when I look bot and I see this doesn't look very likely to work. This probably won't work, but okay, let's give it a try, Echo, and let's see what happens. So Echo...
I think it'll work. He's higher level, and the lane is in the middle. This is gonna work. Maybe he pre-watched it.
Comes down bot, and lucky for him, his gank actually is successful. Now let's look at his XP bar.
Oh, I'm better than him. It's successful.
Right here. Okay, that didn't move by much. Now, by the time the Echo gets that kill, resets, runs out of base, and makes it back to his first camp, let's go see what Gwen's done. Oh, she's finished a full clear. In the time that it took Echo to do all of that, Gwen took an extra 3 camps and has lapped him by a full level, but conveniently, she literally picks up a kill at the end of her clear anyway. So they both have 1 kill, but Gwen has 6 camp and Echo has 3, and Gwen's gank, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't cost her anything because all of her camps are dead anyway. Now, as you just saw from the pathetic amount of XP that Echo got from that kill, ganking early hurts a jungler so much compared to just taking...
He got 76 XP divided by 3. Actually, it's not quite divided by 3, right? There's more XP being gained by 3 than the split of its parts, but not a lot more. Because I think it's not like 100% to 33, 33, 33 repeating. I think it's like 100% goes to 40, 40, 40% or something, or 45, 45, 45, which is still more than 100%. It's more than 76, but maybe there's like a total of 100 or 110 XP being doled out. It's not a lot per person.
Camps, which is why junglers are so predictable in these first 2 clears. Eventually, later in the game, this will change, which we'll cover soon, but in the early game, the level of risk of Gwen's gank compared to Echo's was just so much lower.
Yeah.
Echo had a huge opportunity cost where he was guaranteed to lose an entire
only 100 gold
of XP in order to...
He's only 100 gold ahead, but he's a full level behind. And a full level behind costs you 600 gold worth of fighting power in terms of stats you gain per level. People say a level is about worth 600 gold. So he's much weaker than her now and will continue to be. So now the question is, did he mess up enemy ADC and support more than Gwen did, vice versa? And I think probably the answer is no. It's probably like roughly even.
To attempt a gank that was incredibly unlikely to have actually worked. Meanwhile, Gwen risked absolutely nothing because all of her camps were dead anyway, which is why I mentioned that dying to a 330 gank is so bad. If a jungler does a full clear, takes the Scuttle Crab, instantly recalls and runs back to their first respawning camp, they will get there too early, and they'll have to end up waiting about 15 to 20 seconds for it to respawn. Which means that Gwen, ganking at 330, is ganking in her free time, and any kill she gets is additional gold and XP that she would otherwise have no way to obtain. Meanwhile, with Echo's gank, any gold and XP he could get from the kill is reduced in its value since he could...
So it's not just about helping your team. Maybe people aren't that altruistic. They just want their own power growth, and this is the only way they can gain power as a jungler.
Be guaranteed to gain close to an equal amount of gold and XP by just doing 3 jungle camps instead. Important to note as well is that a jungler like...
I'm gonna stop being grateful then when someone comes top to gank for me. They're not helping me. They're helping themselves. The selfish gene. No, it's fine. It's fine. I don't care. You can use my lane. You can use any lane that I have.
Echo is far more predictable because of how dependent his champion is on gold and XP, which leads me to now talk about jungle champion archetypes and how they affect you. Now, when looking at a jungle champion, try to rank them in 2 different categories. How powerful are their ganks and thus likely to be successful when they go for one, and how dependent on gold and XP is that champion. Usually, the answers to both questions are mirrored. Master Yi, for example, has no utility at all and needs items to deal damage, making him a solid 10 out of 10 on the farm dependency scale.
Right.
His ganks are also incredibly weak and involve nothing more than walking up to an enemy and trying to auto-attack them, making them extremely unlikely to work if he attempts them. So we'll give his gank strength a 2 out of 10 to be generous. These 2 metrics combined give you an idea of how strict a jungler has to be when it comes to the script idea. With Yi's ganks being so bad and his champion being so gold and XP dependent, he can't help but do anything other than focus on sequencing camps and only taking the ganks that align with his clear, like what you get with the 330 gank timer.
Oh, I was gonna ask, does he still gank at 330 then? Because he's got like 20 seconds to kill. Looks like he will still try, but maybe he on average won't get as many kills, but he will still exhaust enemy resources and it's free for him anyway.
A jungler like Sejuani, for example, is different. Sejuani has a dash and 3 forms of crowd control at just level 3 into the game, which makes her ganks extremely powerful and likely to work. So we'll give her a 9 out of 10 on the gank strength scale.
Makes sense.
She gains natural tankiness from her passive.
I bet she's
and
a
has
2
ton
out of
of
10
crowd
on
control
farm.
that works regardless of her income. So in the farm dependency scale, she's pretty low, maybe a 3 out of 10. A jungler like Sejuani is much more capable of breaking her script in order to go for these early ganks in a way that is far less predictable, since they're more likely to work, and sacrificing herself somewhat for the betterment of her laners is viable as a strategy. So when you verse a jungler like Sejuani, expect more early and unpredictable ganks, and don't rely as much on what we learned earlier about jungle timers and jungle tracking. But versus farming junglers like Yi, you only really need to look out for the obvious gank timers that align with their script and can be easily tracked using those timers that we already learned. This isn't to say that the bronze enemy Master Yi jungle won't break his script and try to do a 3-camp gank with the blue buff. He probably will. Just note that the consequences of this gank are catastrophic for him.
Yeah, that's why I said silver 4 and above will do it right, like high level. But bronze, you never know.
And if the script break is major enough for him, he'll just become underleveled, underfarmed, and completely useless, and the enemy team will have nothing more than a support Master Yi.
The famous 523 Master Yi full clear.
Consider this as well when picking your own champion in champion select. Champions that rely on setting up ganks, like Blitzcrank, with a forced aggressive playstyle and obvious all-in timers, like Fizz, or those that are extremely vulnerable to getting ganked in the first place, such as the case with most ranged top laners, there needs to be special consideration given to the champion picks of both junglers. If you pick Vayne top with no TP, and your jungler is playing Master Yi, not only does your team comp just suck, but that Yi also has to worry about his own farm, not protecting you from ganks. And if the enemy jungler is...
By the way, sorry to interrupt. I can't wait until I get into a part of the game where I become knowledgeable, proactive, and disruptive enough to fuck with enemy jungle timings. Like walking into enemy jungle when they're working on their script. Once I can start reading that, if I ever reach that level of knowledge and skill, that'll be fun.
Is playing Sejuani, you better be ready for that guy to skip his camps every 2 seconds to repeatedly camp you every single time you try to play aggressive, and you're not allowed to complain about it. A final thing to mention as well when it comes to these early ganks is the importance of a jungler's starting item. No, not this shit, that doesn't actually do anything. I'm talking about the real starting item.
The 1300 gold item.
Red buff does an incredibly high amount of damage, making ganks far more lethal for a jungler. The slow as well is incredibly important, especially to junglers who don't have their own forms of crowd control, and rely on the slow from red buff to stay in range for follow-up auto attacks. A Kindred who takes her red side jungle and then 3-camp ganks is far more lethal than a Kindred who takes her blue side jungle and ganks without the damage and the slow from her auto attacks that red buff gives her. Ganking with red buff is always ideal, but junglers with crowd control can get by much better ganking without it, since they're not as reliant on that slow because they have their own lockdown. But on junglers who don't have crowd control pre-6, having red buff is essentially mandatory when going for ganks. So factor this in as well when considering if you will get 3-camp ganked. At least that's something Echo got right about this 3-camp gank. But here is something that will blow your mind once you realize it. The fact that Echo did an early gank like this makes him less likely to do future ganks. As you saw, early ganks do not give a jungler any XP. Jungle camps are the only way for them to get XP. But ganks do generate a ton of gold if they are successful. With gold earned through kills, a jungler can buy more items that allows them to then clear camps faster, which essentially converts a gold lead into an XP lead, putting them ahead of their opponents in both categories, as long as they take the time to catch back up and farm. If they instead continue to spam gank, the ganks become less and less optimal and more costly to them. The first gank Echo did was done with 3 camps in his top side he could have otherwise been taking. But if
that makes sense.
Echo was to recall after the gank, instantly run out of base, and attempt a second gank, some of the camps he took at the start of the game would respawn, and he'd instead have 4.
Did he say start of the game?
Attempt a second gank, some of the camps he took at the start of the game would respawn.
He did. The start of the game.
And he'd instead have 4 to 5 camps alive, further increasing the risk and the opportunity cost of his ganks going forward. Jungle camps upon respawn...
Ah, shit. I didn't pay attention to anything else. Let's just say he said game. I was just projecting.
Took at the start of the game would respawn, and he'd instead have 4 to 5 camps alive, further increasing the risk and the opportunity cost of his ganks going forward. Jungle camps upon respawning will have a level equal to the average level champion in the game. The higher level the camp is, the more XP you get from killing it. So if Echo continues to spam gank, leaving his topside camps level 1 for several more minutes, when he eventually does go...
What? Wait. They stay level 1?
To spam, the higher level the camp is, the more XP you get from killing it. So if Echo continues to spam gank, leaving his topside camps level 1 for several more minutes, when he eventually does go to collect them, they will still be level 1.
What? That's actually a huge mechanic. I just thought it was inefficient to gank recall because of the travel time. I would argue that in Warcraft 3 it's like that. Don't TP and then attack someone's base. You gotta find a couple of hobbies in between. Take a couple of creep camps. Because you just went from the furthest point of your base home, and now you're gonna run at that point again. What do you think opponents gonna do? Their power is gonna grow, and you just got out of it. But it's not just that. You're actually getting smaller jungle caps as a result of not clearing them. So when they spawn, they go at an average level of players. Wait, can I see the XP difference again? Value 50, 50, 62.5. Okay, so it is it's 20% more powerful when it spawns at level 3 than when it spawns at level 1. 20% more powerful, but 20% more value in XP, if you will. That's pretty big.
XP you get from killing it. So if Echo continues to spam gank, leaving his topside camps level 1 for several more minutes, when he eventually does go to collect them, they will still be level 1, so the XP reward he gets from caking the camps will be extremely low. He'll then have to wait an entire 2-minute respawn cycle.
Oh, you can see the number!
Caking the camps will be extremely low.
1. So 1, 2 is same, and then you get more gold and XP when they're 3+. Oh, gold is the same? Okay, it's XP, it's XP. I got one guide.
Have to wait an entire 2-minute respawn cycle before finally getting a high-level camp that respawns and gives him the XP he needs to make up the lost time he spent ganking early. This matters a lot because it delays Echo's transition into the next stage of the game, post-level 6 jungling, and this is something that almost every laner gets wrong. The thing you really need to understand here is that you cannot track the jungler anymore towards the end of the laning phase, so stop trying to. Think about it like this. When Echo decided to do his 3-camp gank at the start of the game, he was weighing up the likelihood of the gank working and its potential reward. At just level 3, he has no items, no ultimate, the enemy has all their summoner spells, and his champion lacks reliable crowd control, making it extremely unlikely that the gank will work. And the reward for it in the best case scenario was just 1 kill worth of gold and a tiny amount of XP and no real tower damage. This is why in the early game jungling is predictable, they have to follow their camps, but all of this changes towards the end of laning phase, especially if
You know what I understand because of this video now as well? How long is the jungler allowed to camp me? Because it's all fine and well to be careful at 3 minutes, 3 minutes 30 post scuttle. And I sometimes I am careful, but sometimes I'm not careful. And you know why? I figure they could just camp me. Like, I don't want to live my life in fear. Because what if they stay for a minute? But I now know they're only allowed to stay for 20 seconds. And if they stay beyond that, it's going to start ruining their game plan. That feels good. So I only need to be careful for 30 seconds, which is where cheater recall comes in. Because the recall takes 8 seconds, takes 20 seconds to get back to lane, so you're gone for the 30 seconds that they could be ganking you.
If the jungler was selfish early and gets themselves a good start to the game. In this replay we have up now, we're coming up on 11 minutes and our level 7 jungler Bel'Veth is finishing the Void Grubs, but let's also take stock of the game by pressing tab and checking the scoreboard. Wow, our Sylas is fed. He's got a full item, 10 stacks of Darksteel, 5 kills. He's popping off. Now, just like our Echo did at level 3...
She's not gonna gank Sylas. Wait, she's on Sylas' team. Never mind, I'm not gonna predict.
Let's weigh up the risk-reward of ganking versus farming. We have 3 camps to take in our top jungle, but we also have an option to gank mid. Does the gank mid work?
Yes.
They have no Flash Aurelia. We have Sylas with 4,000 gold worth of damage and a Flash Zyra ult, and we have Evolved Form and Flash ourselves. So, yes, the gank will work every single time. So why would we farm? We come mid, we get a kill for free, and Aurelia dies. And you have to remember as well, the reward for the kill is much bigger. We are not killing the level 2 enemy support, we are killing the level 8 enemy mid laner, and the kill XP scales with the champion level of the enemy you just killed, so we're getting a much higher reward, and potentially could even sometimes transition into a tower.
I often thought maybe they don't need to gank the 1-5 Aurelia with their 5-1 Sylas, because I thought she's not going to be as valuable because she's not going to pop off anyway. You're not disrupting her much because she's already feeding, your mid is already winning, but you should abuse the inter. You don't get as much gold, but you get the same XP. Not worth as much gold, same XP. Yeah. So the jungler wants your experience.
Now, there is a lot of wasted time here, frankly, by Bel'Veth. She should probably take camps in the downtime, but here, she has to now make a choice. Do I take my 4 jungle camps, or do I gank mid? Well, the gank mid will always work, so let's just take the gank mid. And again, okay, now we have 5 jungle camps in our jungle, but we have...
But if the ganks are working so well, why is he lower level than Zyra? He's level 8, and Zyra, or whatever her name is, this one, is level 9.
Evolved form, 4,000 gold worth of damage, and our Camille is TPing back to top lane with a full Triforce and her ult and Ignite up. So again, why would we take camps? We can just walk top, kill Jace, tower dive him.
But he did take camps. I don't get it.
With a full Triforce and her ult and
enemy camps. Yeah, but while he's taking enemy camps, he could be losing his own enemy camps in the bottom lane. Because you can't zone simultaneously. He sees Zyra mid. Okay, well, there's a lot of context. It's difficult to hold all this in my head and say, this is definitely how it's gonna go, because you see where Zyra is.
And our Camille is TPing back to top lane with a full Triforce and her ult and Ignite up. So again, why would we take camps? We can just walk top, kill Jace, tower dive him, and eat almost half his tower because we have 6 Void Grubs. This is why you can't track junglers anymore. It starts tipping in the favor of making ganks. The more fed you are, the more setup you are, and the later you go in the game, because ganks and kills become more likely to succeed, and the reward for doing...
Hey, every time Bel'Veth gets healing, he also gets a shield.
...them just becomes bigger. Now, there's one small detail I glossed over here, that itself deserves to be spot...
No? It's this map. That's the Chemtech map. Oh, it's upgraded fruit. Alright.
...highlighted in this video. And that is, if you want your jungler to gank for you, help them get Void Grubs. Having Void Grubs incentivize the jungler to skip camps and go for ganks by increasing the potential reward that their team can obtain when they make a play. If a jungler skips their camps to gank for a laner, the best case scenario is that they get 1 kill, deny 1 wave, and get 1 or 2 turret plates as a reward. If they have 6 Void Grubs though when they do a gank, this reward is ballooned because suddenly, you aren't getting 1 to 2 turret plates anymore. You're getting 4 turret plates, first tower, and the feat of strength bonus that comes along with that. So any good jungler right now knows that the Void Grubs are insanely broken, because you can speed up massively by going for more plays and less AFK farming. So next time you see Master Yi Jungle do 2 full clears while you get repeatedly ganked, don't get angry at him and call jungle gap. He's just playing to his champion's archetype and his scripts. Have faith that if he makes himself strong in the early game by being selfish, he'll get to a faster level 6, and that'll help him win the Void Grub contest. And if he becomes strong...
Selfish is not quite the right term, right? I sometimes feel guilty, think I'm being selfish too, but actually you are self-centered. Not 100% the same as selfish, right? Because he's helping the team by being the strongest he possibly can be. But like, yeah, he should focus on his own power growth. I get it.
Strong enough by playing selfish early, he'll eventually himself become...
No, it is the correct term. You selfish. Yeah, you think? Alright. Let's just go with that then, yeah.
Yes, and if he becomes strong enough by playing selfish early, he'll eventually himself become the spam ganker for your team. Once the idea of skipping camps is less risky, and the ganks he can do begin to carry a higher reward for him. And with that, I hope you learn a little bit more about how jungling works. Now, as a final reminder that in just 2 weeks I'm running my own class where I'll be answering questions and teaching you everything you need to know about the early game, for all roles. Tickets to that and other places where you can see more of my content are all in the video description below. And as always, have a great day.
Yeah, have a great day, Coach Rogue. Thanks. Thanks for the video. Cool. I feel like he expressed himself very well and clearly and taught some important, interesting mechanics. 20 seconds, wait, the logic of when they need to show up. I'm definitely going to pay attention to this and not get ganked anymore at standard timings. Useful and fun. Nice video.